Welcome to the Let's Rush This episode in and talk hockey so we can stuff our faces with turkey and sweet potato casserole show. My name is Roy Bellamy. David Dwork is here from the Hockey News, and we've had an interesting week. First of all, if you're watching our video, we did not plan this, but we are wearing the same hoodie. It is a CCM hoodie right now. I'm perfectly warm. We didn't plan this, but CCM, if you are watching, which I doubt you are, please, pretty please, with sugar on top, sponsor our show. Thank you. Now, the Florida Panthers this week, they've done actually pretty doggone well. As far as attendance is concerned, they sold out on Monday. They're going to sell out again tonight. They sold out the previous game. So that's 3 straight sellouts. I want to go over the Edmonton Oilers game because that was very, very fun to watch. That was really interesting. They went up. The Edmonton Oilers went up 2-0 early. And it seems like the line of demarcation in that game was the Evander Kane goal. And something happened between his goal and the face-off for the next play. Yeah. You know, they did the celebrations in front of the bench, you know, the fist tap and whatnot. But somebody said something to the Panthers bench that apparently woke them up. And the Panthers ended up tying the game before the first period ended. I don't even know. Actually, Paul Maurice said it wasn't Evander Kane that actually talked to the bench.
He wouldn't say who it was.
He wouldn't say who it was, but somebody said something, and it pissed the team off to no end. Let's talk about this game.
You don't poke a sleeping bear.
Or a sleeping panther, apparently.
Yeah, this is a team. They've been playing very well. They're a very good team on home ice. And look, if you're Edmonton, you are dying for points right now. Yeah. You need wins. And they had just come off a game in Tampa where they had a 2-0 lead that they blew again. So now here they are in Florida. They're trying to turn their season around. They've won 3 out of 4. Why are you going to start pissing off people? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, that was a really fun game. It felt kind of like an 80s, 90s type game, before they got all the rule changes in the early 90s.
Yeah.
But yeah, back and forth, a lot of offensive firepower, a lot of fisticuffs. There was a great fight. Jonah Gadovich just going toe-to-toe with Edmonton's tough guy whose name is escaping me right now, which I hate when this happens. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun. And again, overall, the Panthers, what are they, like 12-5-1 now? They've gotten off to a ridiculously good start with guys that have been missing, Montour, Ekblad, Bennett. So, yeah, just a fun game, and it was nice to see the Panthers step on the neck of a team that was struggling. That's what they failed to do in the past, and that's not what they're doing now.
And the thing with Evander Kane is he had a terrible game. Like, despite him scoring a goal, immediately after him scoring the goal, he committed a penalty which led to a power play goal for the Panthers. Right. Now, come on. It's just hilarious. And, like, he was a scapegoat in San Jose, and I really want to cheer for the brother. I really do. But you got to be smarter than what he did on Monday. You got to be smarter than that.
This guy just seems to run his mouth way too much. And you go back to, like, what happened in San Jose, not even the off-ice stuff, like, not even the personal ice stuff, but, like, this is a guy who, like, the inclusion group was like, nah, we're good. Like, that should be, like, where you're, like, you're fighting to make the game better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it should have been a rude awakening moment. And you'd think he goes to Edmonton where he's going to be surrounded by all this talent. He can just shut up and play and perform. But no, like, not at all. It's frustrating, on the behalf of Oilers fans, on past Sharks fans, just teams that have rooted for this guy, that have invested in this guy. Just not fun.
And on the Oilers, Connor McDavid had 2 goals in that game, which was apparently wasted. He even had a penalty shot goal. And, by the way, the officiating was not great.
No.
Not great at all. Was it a holding? It was a holding penalty and an embellishment penalty on Ryan Lomberg. Wow. I don't know I wish I could show the replay, but rule says that we can't. But he wrapped his arm around his neck, dragged him down. And apparently Ryan Lomberg embellished. That was just bad officiating. And it kind of did not help with all the fisticuffs and all the scrums from that night.
No, it's never an ideal situation when you can see the official starting to lose control of a game. And that play on Lombard was ridiculous. Like, they call him, like, literally, Lombard was holding on for dear life to a guy that was pulling him to the ground. He's just trying to, like, save himself from any kind of an injury getting to the ice. And no, you know what? 2 minutes. That whole embellishment thing is a big joke to me, because every time you call embellishment, it has to go with a penalty. It can't be one or the other. Like,
I think maybe we should start reviewing every penalty that's called embellishment at this point, just to make sure that it's actually embellishment. Because that was not embellishment.
No, I think I get the idea, the novelty of the rule, and like you don't want guys to be. But this is, these guys take a lot of pride in their game, right? They're not trying to embellish on purpose, and I think if that does happen, it's it's hockey. Like guys can take care of that on their own. That there's fighting allowed in this sport. If people are embellishing and doing things to embarrass themselves in the game, then the players who care about the game, they'll take care of that. I don't like putting it in the officials' hands. It never seems to end well. And so, just get rid of it.
And let's talk about Nico Mikula's game. He had 2 goals as well.
What a find. Bill Zito said it when they signed him. Like, we got a guy who everybody I asked about him said, I hate playing against this guy. And that's what they went after. And you know what? He's been a great defensive find. He's very aggressive, but he skates well, which is an amazing attribute for a defenseman. He's closing gaps. He's physical. And then you throw into it the fact that he's adding offense. He's jumping up in plays. Another great find by Bill Zito in his front office.
All right, tonight is a big one. It's the Bruins game.
Bruins.
It's the big bad Bruins. Oh boy, it's going to be a fun one tonight. The Panthers don't have Alexander Barkov. They do have Sam Bennett, who left the previous Bruins game early with the injury, which really I'm surprised he was able to come back that fast. And of course, they have Montour and Ekblad. Let's talk about this one.
I'm excited for this one because it's going to be the closest the Panthers have been to full strength since they faced Boston in the playoffs last year. They played a really good game back on, I think it was October 30th in Boston. Boston won in overtime.
Overtime, yeah.
But it should be like a fun toe-to-toe type matchup. The Panthers are flying high right now. I think they've won 6 in a row at home ice, if I'm not mistaken. And Boston has lost once in regulation all year. Like that's kind of ridiculous. And now they'll be pissed too because we talk about Edmonton coming out of Tampa. Boston, and you and I were texting about this. We're not going to say why, but Boston had a very late lead that I was happy about, and then Tampa ties it with 5 seconds left. They win it in overtime, so you kind of feel like the Bruins are going to be a little bit more pissed off than I was that night when they faced the Panthers.
I'm sure Scott Van Pelt feels your pain on that one.
Yeah, right.
We're going to start a little thing here called, I haven't given it a title, much like I haven't given the show a title, but we're going to talk about East Division over the next month. Let's start with the Pacific Division.
It's like your favorite division this year.
Yeah, they're the worst division in hockey. The worst division in hockey. We just talked a little bit about Edmonton. Let's continue.
Well, let's see. With Edmonton, they fired their coach. Their best players are struggling. They can't keep the puck out of the net. They're blowing big leads. It's a disaster for Edmonton. And this is a team that a lot of people were thinking of them as a cup contender this year. The fact that they've struggled so much in areas that they're usually excel at. Like, we kind of figured they were going to be, like, struggling defensively. Their goaltending is question mark at best. But
they have the worst save percentage in the league.
Yeah, it wasn't expected to be a dumpster fire. And it was expected to be able to mitigate that with guys like McDavid and Draisaitl and defensemen like Darnell Nurse. And they've got so much talent, and it's just not working up there in Edmonton. I don't know what the deal is, but they got to fix their problem fast.
All right, we're going to have to go quickly through this one because I just saw a 1-minute sign, and apparently we're going to blow right through that. Oh, no. Let's go to Vancouver really quickly.
All right, Vancouver, very surprising. Quinn Hughes is having a ridiculous year, and they're being led by JT Miller, Elias Pettersson, and also big fan of their goaltending duo. Thatcher Demko is one of the best American goalies out there. Casey DeSmith has been great as well.
Let's go over to Vegas. It looks like they might win the President's Trophy.
Yeah, they might. We could very well end up seeing, if we get lucky down here in South Florida, another Stanley Cup rematch of the Vegas Golden Knights and Florida Panthers. They're just so balanced. They've got 4 guys that are point-per-game players right now, and then Aiden Hill and Logan Thompson are just great.
Los Angeles. Let's talk about the Kings.
Nobody talks about the Kings. They're a very good team. They play very much like the Panthers. They tight check. They work hard. They score. They could be a fun playoff game. And I'm just watching Roy because he's looking at the people behind the glass, freaking out.
I am so sorry, Danny. I am so sorry. Let's continue with the Kings. I'm sorry.
No, we can actually move on now to the Flames.
Okay.
We're
Let's talk about that dumpster fire over there in Calgary. Literally.
They're going to be probably hemorrhaging defensemen at some point between Nikita Zadorov, you got Chris Tanev, Noah Hannafin, Lindholm are all UFAs that are pending. And then our old friends, Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weeder, are struggling. Another guy who I know we are not big fans of, Nazem Kadri. So, yeah, just not good in Alberta right now.
I wish we had the camera in the other studio. I'm sure they do have a camera in the other studio. I got the rap sign, and then they gave me the 5-minute sign again. Let's talk about the Anaheim Ducks.
Quack, quack. The Ducks,
quack.
Great. They off to a great start. They won 6 out of 8, 6 straight and 8 of 10. Bridging October, November. Lately, not so much. They've lost 3 straight, and in those 3 straight, they've been outscored 13-4. So the Ducks have some talent. Former Panther at Frank Vetrano kicking butt, but they've also got to get their stuff together right now.
The Seattle Kraken, and the Seattle Kraken, by the way, are playing the Vegas Golden Knights in the Winter Classic.
Lovely jerseys. That was sarcasm.
Yeah.
Chat GBT jerseys. But the Kraken, look, they were a playoff team last year searching for their identity. They've got some big wins this year. They beat Colorado, Vancouver. They beat Carolina. They've got points in 4 straight, so perhaps they're turning it back around. We'll see.
And finally, oh, boy, I really do feel bad. I really do feel bad for the San Jose Sharks. I feel bad for Anthony Duclair. I really feel bad for the man.
It's a tough situation. They've won 3 out of their 18 games. They've scored the fewest goals. They average 1.5 goals per game, and they give up 4.17 goals per game. So it's just bad. And, yeah, I feel bad because Anthony Duclair, great guy. Another former Panther, Giovanni Smith, is out there. It's a tough situation. Hopefully they straighten it out. It looked like they maybe were, but, yeah, just Pacific Division, it's a pretty top-heavy.
Okay, this is where John Buccigross joins us here. Everybody, we are ready for the 10-minute misconduct. We have a guest here, John Buccigross from ESPN, and we're going to get started right now. I want to get started by talking about the biggest surprises and disappointments. And I got to tell you, they're both from the Pacific Division, in my humble opinion. I think Vancouver's having a real surprising season. They're actually doing very well. But the Edmonton Oilers are not doing well right now. What is your biggest surprise and disappointment so far in the season, John?
Yeah, I think you nailed it, Roy, right there. Certainly Edmonton by far the biggest disappointment. Some had them winning the Stanley Cup. I didn't have them going that far, but certainly a team after, winning playoff series the last couple of years and losing to the eventual champion. You knew they were just about right there. Never loved their team, knew they had bottom 6 issues, scoring goals, and the defense is not real dynamic, a little pedestrian. So, maybe I guess those warts were just overlooked because how good McDavid and Draisaitl have been. And, now that they're kind of back to mere mortals, this is what happens. And so as a result, yeah, just an unbelievable set of circumstances. If they were not to make the playoffs, that would be a huge shocker.
So, John, a name that's been kind of floating around in the news a lot lately is Patrick Kane, one of maybe the best pure American goal scorers that we've seen, at least in my generation. He's been linked to a few teams. One of them is the Florida Panthers. Finance is going to come into it, but from what I've been reading and from what I've been told, it sounds like this is a guy that just wants to win. So what have you heard about Patrick Kane just as he's getting ready to make his season debut here?
Yeah, I've heard that too. I'm surprised that the guy's won 3 Stanley Cups. He's won a lot. I figured he'd want to go just, a place where he'd want to live and want to play for a couple of years and the environment and maybe another story like returning to Buffalo, right? His hometown. I thought that'd be more important than just winning. But, these guys do like to win. It is first and foremost on their mind. So, and a place that has a lot of support, like whether it be Colorado, a really good team, because he's not going to carry a team anymore at his age. So but I've heard the winning part. So I guess you can get both. I guess there are options. We can get both. And so it's interesting. Certainly I've heard Florida now. They're a team who seems to be in the hunt. Dallas. I've always said Colorado all along because, especially right after they won the Stanley Cup, they seem themselves to have some warts now. They get some ugly losses sometimes. Sorry about that, fellas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here by the beverage station at Valencia driving range. So I always thought Colorado was the place because of, McKinnon, Rantanen, and just the whole support system there, and Makar as well.
I want to talk about the Columbus Blue Jackets. They have had a disastrous season off. I mean, it even started in the preseason, before training camp, with the firing of Mike Babcock, all the way through the Patrick Laine benching. Why don't you give us some thoughts on what's going on in Columbus?
Again, another shocker. I didn't have them as a playoff team, so it's not like I'm certainly surprised. But the fact that they could end up a top 3 lottery team again, after all the money they spent, they redid their D. To get some adult veterans. Adam Fantilli's the real deal. He's going to be a 15, 20-year veteran, a really good player, borderline Hall of Famer probably, if not in. So, but, when you think about when you do add a lot of pieces and you play a young lineup, which is what they are, I guess, you have to expect a slow start. Sometimes it all comes together quickly. But I guess we really shouldn't be surprised. This is older guys, all rich, all new, and then younger guys who are still learning how to play in key spots. So, and then you have kind of one-trick ponies with Gaudreau and Line. And so I guess maybe, again, that's what's great about the season. You just don't know until they play 20 games what people look like, what anything looks like. So, again, not a shocker because, again, I didn't have them as a playoff team. But, again, to go what they went through with Babcock, have this new coach who's really flexing his muscles first time around, benching Line, benching Gaudreau, benching people, Severson as well, who's now hurt. So, yeah, that's another surprise disappointment for sure.
Looking ahead, John, there's some chatter that the NHL may be doing another tournament, like a best-on-best, like they call it, tournament, international tournament, where we haven't seen anything since the World Cup of Hockey, which I want to say was 2018, 20. It feels like it's been a while.
Yeah,
but it was
15 or 16. I can't remember either.
Yeah, right. I was thinking 2016, but that felt like too long ago.
It was that long ago.
But it was a lot of fun, right? Like even though it wasn't like your traditional countries against one another. Like I enjoyed it a lot. I know that a lot of the players have been pining for something like that. So now that they're talking about, the players and the league are talking about maybe doing something with like 4 nations. As somebody who's covered a lot of these international events, would you be excited for something like that? And what would your thoughts be just on doing it with was it Canada, Finland, U.S., and Sweden, what they're talking about?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'd like to have 6. I'd like to add Slovakia and the Czech Republic. That would be, I think, a little better. We're not going to have David Pastrnak play in this thing, one of the most popular players in the league. But yeah, not having best on best has been one of the few failures, one of the few big failures of the NHL these last, like you said, coming up on a decade now. That's I know because it was pre-gray hair for me. That's how I know it was pre-2017.
Yeah.
During the hurricane here, I'm not going to shave, and then it's like, I like this. I'm going to keep it. So that's how I know. My line of demarcation for the World Cup of Hockey is my hair going gray. We need best on best. We need to see Connor Bedard and Connor McDavid on a line. We need to have that patriotism that each country feels, and it's important. And it's important. It'll grow the game. It'll gain fans, and it's important. And not so much growing the game is in this day and age because of the rise of women's sports and the rise of F1 and the Premier League soccer the last 15, 20 years. How people in America pick a favorite team, buy a jersey. There's only so much money and eyeballs to go around. So you better, as long as you don't fall behind. So it's not so much growing. It's like, hey, so let's stay status quo. So, it's a $4 to $6 billion industry. So it's strong, it's healthy. More teams are coming with $1 billion expansion fees. So, but this best on best is what really helps grow the game internationally, which is what you do. They invested in it. Yeah. They do it now. And it's an important part of the puzzle.
Between the President's Trophy season, the Tkachuk trade, the All-Star game, the Stanley Cup final, the eyes of hockey have really been on Sunrise right now for the Florida Panthers. Yeah. Tonight, they play the Boston Bruins. It'll be the 3rd straight sellout, and it'll be the 4th in 9 games. And keep in mind, it's going to be 2 sellouts on Thanksgiving week.
That's great.
This is amazing. This is an amazing time for Florida. What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, it really is. I always believed in the market, believed in the state. It took off in Tampa because of the championships, obviously, but that's been a very successful NHL franchise for a long time. Always thought it could work in Florida. And let's face it, the whole centerpiece that made this whole happen was the Matthew Tkachuk trade. That will go down as the seminal moment, the tectonic plate shifting moment for the Florida Panthers that will take them and have them be competitors and relevant, and more important, interesting for the next 15 years. It's one thing to have a good team, but it's just a whole other level when it's an interesting team. And that's that's where part of, I think, Boston sports city hydrogen bomb that's gone off these last 25 years is, they've won championships, but they've been really interesting. Like Manny Ramirez, David Ortiz, even Brad Marchand for the Bruins. It's been over a decade now since they won their cup, but interesting cats, not just winning, but doing it with interesting players. And of course, the Patriots with Brady and Gronk, and like that's just a personality, and that's what Tkachuk has brought. And so, yeah, I'm going to the game tonight. I'm actually going to hang out with Sean Thornton, who's obviously part of the business side of the Panthers, trying to get those season ticket numbers up, trying to get the corporate sponsors, trying to get the barn full as much as they can to have that great ambiance and have that experience even be better for existing season ticket holders so they renew, because it's more fun for everybody, the players, the fans, the broadcasters, if the house is full. And it's on fire. And so I'm looking forward to the scene tonight against the Bruins. Obviously, they're division foe. I picked the Panthers to win the division before the year. They're right on the Bruins. I still think they're going to win the division once they get healthy. I think they're a better team than Boston all the way around. Goaltending is the big Bruins edge. But it's going to be a good benchmark for the Panthers. They're going to take this very seriously tonight. I think you'll see extra stir it up stuff from Tkachuk and Marchand tonight. It's going to be very fun.
It's Roy's pointing to me. I turned my volume down. We started naming all those New England things that had been going really well. So let me just get focused back here.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Actually,
focus.
Good segue though, because I did want to ask you.
we ended Patrice Bergeron's career.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, a little positive note there. But I did want to ask you about something happening in Boston right now. The whole situation happening with Milan Lucic. He's away from the team right now. It came out that he's entering the NHL and NHLPA Players Assistance Program following a reported arrest that he had for a domestic incident. It's obviously an awful situation that everything is very individualized, but I wanted to ask you just kind of for your insight to touch on anything that you've heard about the situation.
Yeah, again, we weren't there. We don't know for sure, but hey, he's obviously had issues in his past with his temper, whether it's at a nightclub in Vancouver or, and now with his wife and his kids and a family, and the Bruins are a tight organization. He was part of their Stanley Cup winning team the last time they won one. They brought him back really probably for much PR reasons as anything, as the disappointing loss to the Panthers, the retirement of Krejci and Bergeron. Let's get some good news here and get some, good mojo with him. And they brought him back. It was a very popular sign. They start off well. He starts off well, hasn't been playing due to injury. But now since he's been out, they've been fine. So, certainly he has some rope with the organization and with Cam Neely, because he's an important part. He was kind of their Gronk in a lot of ways back when they won the Stanley Cup, a great fighter, breaking glass, giving body checks. So, I'm sure they'll give him the benefit of any kind of doubt. But if he never plays again, that's also very possible. So we'll see how it goes with the investigation and what his wife, obviously she controls a lot in this, what she wants to do about it. And so now we'll just have to wait and see. But I think the Bruins realize this last 2 weeks, that they don't need him from a team perspective. Their team is strong. Their room is still strong. And so in that way, and he's not the player that he used to be. So we'll have to see what happens here. I'm sure it'll happen here in the next couple of weeks or so, one way or the other.
Finally, you mentioned the Panthers potentially winning the division. That's your prediction there. Let's go over your predictions. Yeah. Who's going to win each division? Who's going to win the conference? And who's going to lift the cup?
Yeah, I had the Panthers certainly winning their division, one of the best divisions in hockey. I just felt like, that their roster was very strong. The defense, how Montour has come along, and then just what they did last year was really impressive. And how Matthew Tkachuk is a certified NHL superstar, a certified elite playmaker along the lines of Sidney Crosby or anybody else. He can't skate like those guys. He's a different player, but when he has the puck in the offensive zone, the decisions he makes and the way he passes the puck and sees the play, he's 2 steps ahead of everybody, which he has to be because, as we know, he's very slow. So, but fast thinkers can become quicker and fast players. So I just think Tkachuk is an MVP candidate, and he will be for the next 5 years. And so that's why I like them to win the division. The Metro's tough. I think the Rangers are the best team. The Devils just don't they get bullied by the Rangers. I would think they would be on Zadorov and any other defenseman or forward that can give them some grit and grime. They're just getting bullied, and they better fix that, or they will not be a successful playoff team. So I still think the Rangers there. Over the Central, I think, I still believe in Colorado. Strange losses this year. You hate to see that, but I like them. And the Pacific, Vegas is still Vegas. Came out cruising. Now they know, okay, we're good. I wish the playoffs would start tomorrow. They just want to start the playoffs now. They don't want to go through 6 more months of regular season hockey, or 5 more months. So yeah, I like those big 4. And overall, I really do think it comes down to Colorado and Vegas. I picked Colorado before the year, but man, if I had to bet a paycheck, looking the way that Vegas team is built up and down, you probably would have to say, if I have to bet a paycheck, I better bet on Vegas. And then the Eastern Conference, it really comes down. I do think it comes down to the Rangers and the Panthers. I think those are the two candidates. Unless there's a groundbreaking trade where Toronto gets two real defensemen and the goaltending goes nuts, I really do think the Panthers have a great chance to return, and we have a great chance for a repeat of last year's final. I really do.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Sign me up.
Yeah, from the Entertainment and Sports Programming Network, John Buccigross. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That was excellent, John. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Appreciate it so much, Bucci.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Of course, man. Take care.
Hit them straight.
All right. Will do.